is 17. Angle A is 17. Little b is 20. Little c is 11. All right, so raise your hand if you're going to use the law of sines. All right, who's using law of cosines? All right, if we do the law of sines, let me make sure I didn't read this wrong here. What would be your pair? Because to use the law of sines, you need to know a pair, like big B and little b, or big A and little a. So what pair do we know? Do we have a pair of angle side? No, we don't. So we would have to use the law of cosines. Go ahead and circle, underline where it says, this is the law of cosine. Now, if you're using the law of cosine, what do you have to find first? Based on what you know, because we need to find the measure of angle B. We need to find the measure of angle C. And we need to find lowercase c. But based on what we know, oh, lowercase a, thank you. We got to find lowercase a. So where are we starting off? Lowercase b, we have, okay, we got to find, okay, yeah. All right, so where we started? Which of these three parts? That's the hard part of the test, because I'm not gonna guide you through it. So who says we're gonna start with angle B? Who says angle C? Who says side A? I would agree. So let's go ahead and find little a. So when we set up the law of cosines, it's going to be a squared equals b squared plus c squared. And you do not get formulas on the test. So you have to know how to organize your law of cosines. And we're going to subtract 2 BC cosine of A. And whenever you're trying to find a side, it's pretty easy. So you're going to just type this all in under your square root. So it'll be 20 squared plus 11 squared and again we'll go out to the thousands place. So go ahead, take a minute and type that in your calculator. And you should get, that's what I got when I typed it in. That was before spring break, so hopefully I typed it in right. Anybody else get that? All right, go ahead and use your calculator and make sure. So now I'm going to find angle B. So for the law of cosines, if I'm trying to find angle B, I am going to arrange my law of cosines differently. So now I'm going to start with, if I'm trying to find angle B, I'm going to start with little b. So it would be little b squared equals the other two sides squared minus 2 AC times the cosine of B. So B is 20. And then A plus C minus 2 times A, C, cosine of B. Okay, so here we go. And now remember, when you're using the law of cosines to find an angle, we have to solve it. So those areas where I highlighted, you need to find those three numbers first. And we have to subtract, divide, and then do the inverse cosine. So I'll give you a minute to do that. I'm going to freeze my screen. You work it out, and then we'll see if we get the same answer at the end. And then you might as well find C also. If you find B, go ahead and find C. And then we can move on to our last part of chapter 8, which is finding the area of the triangle. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and unfreeze it, and you can compare your answers. I'll give you a minute to look at that and see if you agree. So for angle B, I got about something close to, now depending on where you round, it could be a little different. But did anyone else get something close to 144 for angle B? Hey, Jaime, you made it. Yeah, that's how it is sometimes. I'll give you a minute to look at that for a second, because if you didn't finish it, keep working through it. Because again, like I keep saying, using the law of cosines to find an angle, it's just a little bit more work. But you don't want to rush through it. And then of course, to find that last angle, you would simply use triangle sum. All right, any questions about why we use the law of cosines instead of law of sines? How we found any of those pieces? All right, so let's go ahead and start 8.4. I did change the due date of the last homework. So you have homework due Thursday, homework due Friday. This is the homework that is due Friday. As we get started on area. So the last piece of chapter 8 is finding the area of a triangle. So who remembers the formula that you learned back in the day for area of a triangle? Area equals, what is it? 1/2 base times height, right? But that doesn't always work, because if you don't know the height, then you can't use that formula. And sometimes you don't have enough information to find the height. So we're gonna focus on 2 new formulas for finding the area of a triangle. So I'll give you a minute. So let me zoom into this first one. You can go ahead and fill that in. That's the one that you all gave me, which is the one that I thought you would give me, because that's the one that you learned back in middle school. Area equals 1/2 base times height. I'm gonna try to draw an obtuse triangle. Okay. So for this triangle, let's say if this was the triangle, the height would actually be, height is always connected to a 90-degree angle. And that 90-degree angle could be outside of the triangle. So this would actually be the height, and the base would be here. So if I were using this information, that would be my first triangle, or my formula. So area equals 1/2 base times height. But I'm not really sure. The majority of our tests, I don't think it's going to use that formula, but I don't want to say that and be wrong, because I haven't looked at it. So, okay. The other formulas that we're going to learn, the first one is sine area. So I'll give you a minute to copy that down. So where it says sine area formula, this is the formula. You need to memorize this formula. In order to use this formula, all you need to know is 2 sides and the angle in between. So for example, if this was my triangle, ABC, if I'm using this formula, I would have to know this angle measure. I would have to know this. And I would also need to know little b and little c. So I would have to know a corner of my triangle and the 2 sides connected to that corner. This is sine area. So that says if you take 1/2 little b times little c times the sine of angle A, you can find the area of a triangle. And then your last formula is what if you only know the 3 sides? So I'll give you a minute. And that's called Heron's. So if you only know the 3 sides, you don't know any of the angles, but I know the 3 side lengths that make up the triangle, the first thing I need to find is what we call the semi-perimeter. which essentially means half of the perimeter. So S is going to equal A plus B plus C divided by 2. And then this is your formula. So I'll give you a minute to copy that down. And then we will start working through these questions together today, and we'll probably finish it tomorrow.
So that first one was to find the semi-perimeter?
Yes, which just means half of the perimeter. I should probably write that. So we don't use the full perimeter. Semi means half. So we need to know half of the perimeter. Good morning.
Good morning, sunshine.
How are you?
This is Peachy Peach.
Uh-oh.
Returning your.
Oh, I thought it was a new picture of my nephew.
I'll get you one.
Okay. All right. So that would be our semi-perimeter. So does everyone have all the formulas down? All right. So the first thing we're going to do, let's just start practicing using them. So let's look at number 1. So we have all 3 sides. We need to find the area. We only know the sides. Okay, so we have to use herons. So the first thing we're going to do is find the semi-perimeter. So that would be my little s. S equals, you're going to add up all the sides and divide that by 2. So go ahead and find the semi-perimeter. Add up all 3 sides. And I probably should say this because, I mean, I shouldn't have to, but I will. If you're using the yellow calculators, use the fraction bar. If you're not using the yellow calculator, you have to hit enter. So you can't just put 4 plus 5 plus 7 divided by 2. Like, you can't just type it in like this. Okay. I don't want anybody to mess up. Because the first step is finding the semi-perimeter. If you mess up that step, you've already missed the entire question. What did you get for the semi-perimeter? 8. All right, so 8 is my semi-perimeter. So we're going to take that 8, and then I'm going to make my 3 parentheses. And then take that 8 and use that 8. I'll put it in all my parentheses. I'm going to subtract each side. So I'm going to subtract the first side, the second side, and the third side. And when you type this in, you're going to type this all in under your square root. And that's the area of that triangle. And we'll just go to the thousands place. So I think your calculator is going to give it to you as a radical. Just hit that button above. I would take either way though. So when I did it, I got 4 root 6. Or you could also give it to me as 9.798. And of course, area is unit squared. All right, do number 2 by yourself. have an answer, raise your hand. I'll check it. Just curious to see what we all getting. That's good. Looks good. All right, so who got 5.3 repeat? Questions, comments? What you think? All right, let's look at example 3. I can already tell this is going to be the not the loss sign, sorry. The sine area, because I have an angle and the other two sides are not the angle that I had. So I know that this is sine area. I'm gonna draw it out. Because I know that angle A is 80 and little b is 1 and little c is 3. So again, I have my angle, the angle in the middle and the two sides. So this would just be area equals 1/2 1 times 3 sine of 80. I was actually helping somebody with their SAT prep, and this was a SAT question, which I was like, man, how would they know this I don't know if they teach this in geometry. They teach sine area?
A lot of this whole, basically this whole unit is on geometry.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm gonna ask Miss Bolt. Okay. So when you type that in, you should get 1.477 units squared. Go ahead and make sure. Type that in. Go ahead and do number 4 by yourself. Who remembers from the unit circle what the sine of 30 is?
216. No. Oh, the sine of
The
30?
sine, 1/2, yep. I was just trying to see if you remember. I'm just curious. So you're just taking 1/2. I know we all blocked it out because that was a bad memory. I'm not trying to invoke trauma. I'm sorry. It was 1/2. So this technically could be a no calculator question on the SAT. So you're just taking 1/2 times 4 times 3 and then taking that answer and dividing it by 1/2 again. So you should just get a whole number. I didn't hear you. Yeah, I just put unit squared because I didn't put the unit. So I'm gonna skip over 5 because 5, you all have it. Let's go to 6. So 6 is composed of 2 different shapes. So how are we gonna go about figuring out the area? So let's start off with this triangle at the top. I know that this side is 12, this side is 12. What is this side here? 17. So how are you going to use, what formula are you using? If I have a triangle and I know all 3 sides, you have to do herons. So go ahead, find your semi-perimeter and find the area of that triangle. Did you all get a decimal answer? For some reason, I just put 72. I don't know why.
Yeah, because it's 999 and then 5.
Oh, it's like 71.99. Okay, so yeah, I just put 72. Okay. So for the triangle, your semi-perimeter should have been 20.5. So then we just take that and then subtract each side. Type it all in under a square root, and you get 72. And then who remembers how to find the area of this rectangle? How do you find the area of a rectangle? Anybody remember? Length times width. So for this part, which this piece, this is a rectangle, area would be equal to length times width, which is 17 times 8.5. Go ahead, type that in your calculators. And to get the total area, you would add those 2 together. So total area is 72 plus 144.5, which is 216. And now we actually do have a unit, so it's inches squared.
It's not 25.
Oh, it is 216.5. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to end there for today. So again, just to recap, you have 2 homework assignments due this week. And if you have not finished the Canvas assignment, you need to get that done today, because that assignment closes today at 11:59 p.m. You get 2 attempts.